Okay, so
This meeting is being recorded.
right, we're on the record now. Kate Floss. So I've got a very special announcement to make today about the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe. Now, I've been told that Edward Moses sent me this note. Actually, I'd better go and find about what Edward Moses had to say. And he has said he's from the Kahuria Rao, right? And the Kahuria Rao, what has happened is all these tribes are all fighting for the king's status. You've got many of them doing, all of them want to be the top gun, and they're all fighting amongst themselves over who's going to be the top gun. But we all know that Matthew Tukaki and all those people that are in the parliament, they are already the true top guns. So these people, all these people that are running around with their 100 viewers and their 200 viewers claiming to be the top guns and trying to get us under them. These people are nothing more than low dog political parties. They're dog political parties, and they're trying to get the 1% status. They get the 1% status, and then they make themselves the leader. They then hand you and your sovereign right onto whoever it is that's backing them behind the scenes that we don't know who it is. Some of them are being backed by Sue Gray. Some of them might be backed by Kahurira. Some of them are backed by, whichever party.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, you see, because it's illegal to campaign for votes before the election time. You're only allowed to do it a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months before election time. What all these sneaky little groups are doing is they come up with the cause, right? They say, oh, the children are hungry. And they set up these organisations and they write themselves a little pamphlet. They get a couple of 100,000 government funding because they're being bought by the government. They get the couple of 100,000 from the UN backing that they've all got because the UN is behind all this shit. And then, hello, who have we got there? Hello, dear. Someone's come on, so that's going to be good that someone's come on.
Kiwi.
Hi, Kiwi. How you doing, sweetheart?
Hey, darling. How are you, babes?
Oh, I'm very well. I'm very happy to see you. There's a lot of fighting, scrapping going on.
Oh.
So I'm going to be making a big announcement today.
Oh.
Yes, I'm going to be making a very special announcement today. I wonder if Terama has come to see me.
Oh.
So I'm going to make a really important, it's got a little bit of a surprise, a very important announcement. We said this all along. Oh, no. Oh, I don't know what that is about. So we'll just might wait for another minute because another one might come in. And so this guy here, I'll just find him. And we're talking about Edward Moses today. And I'm talking, oh, there's the dog.
I'm glad you're putting him out there because he's been threatening you like something chronic.
Yes, we've had threats, but now I'm going to let you all know what's going on here, and I'm going to be able to share it with you, the truth about what's going on with the lovely Anglo people, because what's happening is that all the tribes are split. What they basically are is nothing more than political parties. And that's what they are. If they're going up and down the country and they're creating, see, I'm a free radical. So if you want to be a free radical, yeah. So I'm a free radical. I don't attach to no one because I'm not trusting any of them. So I don't know who I trust. I don't trust any of them. I've been let down too many times. So I prefer just to be a free radical. And I don't want to be under any specific religions. I don't want to be under political parties. But at the same time, you need a lot of free radicals that also hang out together, because if you don't hang out together, then you don't have power, right?
Yeah.
So everybody knows that I'm the 1688 free radical, and we're
So
going
am
to
I,
talk-
so is Brent.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, the live right, Sharon. And so what these people do is they say, okay, we need to feed the kids, and they set up this organization. The government gives them, or the UN gives them, a couple of $100,000. They throw in a few words like human rights. They throw in United Nations universal laws. They throw in indigenous rights. Any of those words that are coming from the United Nations, there's your warning sign right there, because that's who's after our country. And these people that are going around in these little groups, they all, if they can get 1%, they get a lot of money. So that's why they're after you. They're not interested in the country of New Zealand. Each of them are trying to get the Anglo people under them, because the Crown lands all are sat in the 3 million Anglo people. They sit with us, but they've brought in another 3 million immigrants, and they're quickly surpassing us, and they're going to overwhelm us, okay? And so the Maori, at the end of the day, the Maori are not going to be significant in any of this, because
Exactly.
they're outnumbered on all
Yep.
sides.
Yep.
And I know that there were a lot of terrible things done in 1986 when
Yeah.
the Waitangi Tribunal made agreements over certain lands and certain resources, and they sold us out to America. We know they
Yep.
sold us out to America. We know the islands have sold us out to China. Everybody's after New Zealand. But you know what? We can all be free radicals and just think about saving the borders of New Zealand and keeping our country under our control. Now, the chiefs
Yep.
had to do it in 1840, and we've
Yep.
got to do it in the 1688 group. We've got to do it again. And we're going to be able to do it, I'm telling you. We've got the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe. So when these groups go out and collect up people by the voting, it's illegal for them to do that, because they're not allowed to do it until near voting time. So they disguise themselves. They disguise themselves as helping the children, or helping the handicapped, or helping the homosexuals. That's how they disguise themselves. But when the voting gates open, they all reveal who they're with, their true colours. And that's when you find out who they're backing. And that's when they draw you into their political parties to vote for those political parties, you see. So you're being used. Now, stay a free radical. You've got to stay a free radical. But you can't be hating on any one of them, because each one of them have got some things that are good, and each one of them have got some things that are bad. You see they've got something that's good, you grab onto that and you put that in your little basket. But you don't let yourself get drawn in and attached deeply to them, because they're going to take your free radical and steal it from you and give it to someone else, give your vote. They want your names, they want where you live, they want your tribes, everything like that. And they're using it for nefarious purposes. Now, the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe, when the British came in on the 14th of January 1844, and British law came to power, they set up a scaffolding government. They had no real power in New Zealand, but they had the power to set up a scaffolding government. The United Nations is currently setting up that same scaffolding government now. So it's exactly the same. It's no different, only it's coming through the United Nations and America, and they're trying to give you inalienable rights. Now, you don't want inalienable rights, because you're not freaking aliens, all right? And so you want your indubitable rights. Now, the United Nations is presently in scaffolding status, but they're moving fast, very fast, and that is about to change very soon. You know, over in Australia, that he's already said, we're throwing out the Queen, we're going out on our own, and all of you, as soon as they do that, all of you go under United Nations rights, and you've got no power, all right? Now, the Queen was very good. The only thing that she gave us, that she only one law that she said you have to follow, and that was that 1688. She said you can do anything you like, but you just follow this law. And the important thing is that law is that it forbids foreign governments, and it binds the Parliament, and it binds the Queen, it binds everyone to behave in a certain way in peace, tranquility, and safety. And it forbids them from allowing foreigners to govern over you. That's why the Pope wants rid of it. Now, they want rid of it. Now, currently, the Anglo people are 3 million strong, and the United Nations has realised that the Maori are not enough for them to complete the metamorphosis that they're wanting to do. They're trying to get the Anglo. Now, what's happening is all the different tribes are fighting fiercely over who's going to get the Anglo under them. And once they do that, they have a lot of power because we're 3 million strong. So you've got the tribes that are siding up with the islanders and the immigrants, and they're around about 2.5 million strong. You've got those tribes that are siding up there with the 50% goes to the UN governments and 50% goes to the Maori. So you've got that group. Then you've got the other group that realizes, oh shit, well, they don't have any power in there because the iwi's already got all those contracts. Then you've got the other group that are saying, we still want to be the ones in power, but we're going to get the Anglos on our side. And that way we won't be so suppressed by the Americans and their constitutions of America and their inalienable right. So that's why he's saying, that's why that guy was saying, he's saying, we want all the lands and all the resources in the hands of the Maori, and we want all the governance and all the responsibility under the Queen. The Queen said, no. She said, in my view, she said, no, it's either all or nothing. Either all the resources belong to all the country and we protect our borders and you vote your people in and you do it like that. You either do that and you can keep my protections, or you do your divided governments where 50% goes and each tribe gets a certain area of New Zealand, each tribe gets a certain resource in New Zealand, and that tribe makes all the money from that resource. But if you go that way, you go under the UN and America. So there's the choices that you have. You know, you can choose, everyone can choose any which way that they want to go. So everybody's fighting over the Anglo people. So this guy here, if I can find him, here, all right, Edward Moses. All right, I'll go to this lady first so you don't get bored while I'm looking. All right, so I'll go to share screen. Hope everybody can see. So I'm just noticing that these tribes are popping up, fighting over, they call us Ngāti Wikitoria. So they're all fighting over Ngāti Wikitoria. But the problem is, I'll just turn off my share screen 1 minute again. The problem is the United Nations has come up, for the Maori, she's come up with Indigenous people. You're all Indigenous people. When you come under your Indigenous people, they've tagged on the 370 million refugees as Indigenous right along with you. So while you become refugees, they become Indigenous in your country. So there's that side of it there, but they're attacking the Anglo side now. What they're saying is that Ngāti Wikitoria included all people that came from other countries. That's the we are one. So they're tagging it onto us too. They're trying to say all people that come to New Zealand are Ngāti Wikitoria, automatically they can be adopted into the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe. And yeah, and they're saying, so anyone that is non-Maori is a Ngāti Wikitoria under the treaty. And that's how the UN is tagging everyone onto us too. We want to flip them off.
Hold up. You know what? That guy, that meeting that we were just at is doing the same thing under Article 4 with honorary citizen. Remember him talking about honorary citizen?
Yeah.
That's
We
exactly
didn't quite
what
get that far. They're trying to make us honorary citizens under the Maori with their 50% and the United Nations.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, they are. And so I'm taking everybody under me. Everyone come under me. I'll show you because I've got the proof. There's an 8th Waka and I fucking own it. And I've got the proof. I fucking own the 8th Waka and I'm going to prove it to you today. The 8th Waka belongs to me, Kate Floss. And you're all coming under me. I'm going to show you. Don't you worry, because I'm a free radical and they ain't taking me under any of their crappy tribes so they can piss off. So anyway, yes, that's right. They're trying to make us honorary citizens. They can piss off under them. All right, stop swearing, I'm not allowed to swear. Right. Okay, so have a look here what this, I've been noticing this on the Maori website. The one that we're up against is Kahuria Rao. Kahuria Rao, I saw there was a government meeting and they had Ngānia Mahuta and they were unveiling some He Papapua museum or something. And she turned around and she said, we give this to Kahuria Rao of the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe. Now, Kahuria Rao is not a recognised Maori tribe. And what they've decided to do is to latch on to the true Ngāti Wikitoria that don't even know that we are a tribe. They've latched on and they have stolen us. They stole us. And that's where Kahuria Rao is trying to claim their tribal status because the Maoris have told them to piss off. So here's what this lady here is saying. Can you see this?
It's a bit
This is, she says here, Kate Floss, you're talking a lot of crap. We have had Ngāti Wikitoria o Aotearoa amongst our Kahuria Rao reps ever since the Tai Opuru, which is their chief, gifted the 8th Waka. So I didn't realise until I saw this that there's an 8th Waka, and I already owned the papers to show what the 8th Waka is. I already had all that, but I didn't know that it was the 8th Waka, but I know it now. And there aren't many names on it, I'll tell you right now. We have a Tūhau whānau of Rapana who placed themselves under Ngāti Wikitoria years ago to honour their Scottish side. Now, I'm here to tell you, Ngāti Wikitoria is not British, it is not Scottish, and it's not Irish. You're in for a freaking surprise today, everyone. Look what they've attached to us. We have got Indians, meaning Indonesians, Egyptians, meaning Ethiopians, all of those, Somalians, all of those come under there. Polynesians, that's all the islanders, claiming their ancestors' whakapapa to Ngāti Wikitoria, but it's going to be impossible, and I'm going to show you why. It's not just for Pākehā per se. This is that group there, Brent, because she said it. We have a diverse rainbow community across the globe. That's all the homosexuals who have registered their Ngāti Wikitoria Tanga to protect their rainbow mukapuna. We all know what rainbow means these days, right? Doesn't mean what you think it means. And the yet to be born. Edward Moses has never claimed Ngāti Wikitoria. He is off the hapu of Pohotire Ngāti Kuri. These are not a recognised Maori tribe. Do a thorough cross-reference research and become better informed instead of grasping at straws. By the way, if you don't agree with us, that's your Katie Pie. We will carry out Tupuna's legacy with or without you. Just stay it out of our way. Stay in your own lane while we get on with the job of saving our nation with all of the Ngāti Wikitoria under them, all right? Now, Eddie Moses, who's Edward, we get along sometimes and we don't get along sometimes. But here's what Eddie's got to say. But he's all right. We're on good talking terms, and he does like our 1688, Sharon. He said that he does see it as the way of keeping the United Nations out. So he's on our side at a certain place there. But so that woman there is different because she has said that Ngāti Wikitoria belongs to her, whoever they are. Oh, it's still Kohurirau, but she seems to think that Edward Moses does not claim Ngāti Wikitoria. So I'm a bit confused there. Maybe they're a bit split. So Edward Moses says, more pretend English, history and Carrero as per usual, Kate. Ngāti Wikitoria only, here now I'm going to prove him wrong today. Ngāti Wikitoria only exists within the Kohurirau and thus within Aotearoa. And I'm here to tell you that Aotearoa is not New Zealand. It's an island off the coast of New Zealand that they won independence from New Zealand in 1996, I think it is. They won independence and they are functioning. They are an unrecognised state, meaning that they don't have the constitutions and they don't have the laws suitable to work within the international community. So, and they're not able to do it. So it's an entity. Aotearoa is an entity in its own right that is bridged onto New Zealand as like it's a bridge. Can anybody articulate what I'm trying to say here? Brent?
What? I was reading
You
that.
even listen to me.
I was reading that guy's comment.
Why? Well, you have to listen to my question. See, it's a bridge. It's that when like they have right, let's look at an adopted family, right? If the children get taken from the parents that are not treating them well, and they will go to a foster family that is a bridge for them. They don't go to a permanent family because their documents aren't yet in order. The parents haven't lost them. They're not allowed to be adopted. They just sit in like this holding pen, but they need, and so this is kind of like a bridge. And then they work in a series of laws that are not firm in a normal family. So the adoptive parents, the foster parents are not allowed to do certain things. They're not allowed to let them attach too much. They're not allowed to let them get into any contracts that they can't get out of. They're just like a holding pen, like a bridge. And then when all the paperworks are in order, that foster family will bridge them to a permanent situation where they're able to make laws and they're able to make constitutions and all of that kind of thing. So it's kind of a bridge. Well, this Aotearoa little island off the coast of New Zealand. There are 3 primates. It's called the primate of New Zealand. He's in charge of all the Anglos. The primate of Aotearoa, that is all of the Maori that have been taken out of their subject status. And then there's the primate of the Pacific, and he's the one that's in charge of all the islands. And those 3 priests, David Moxon and all of them, they all work together and manage our country. And so there's this Aotearoa is the entity that they work within. And it's like, it's not a state. So New Zealand, the country of New Zealand is
sounds to me like it's a lot like London,
Yes.
Washington DC,
like Vatican,
Vatican City.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
all of
sounds
that.
like
That's what it is.
its own separate state within
Yes.
our land.
Yes.
Like just like the 4 big ones, you know, the Vatican,
Yeah.
London,
The
Washington.
Islamists. Yeah. And they can't make laws internationally. They're not able to make laws, so they've bridged them on to New Zealand. And when they need to make proper internationally binding laws, they use the word New Zealand. You'll see it. Now that you know what you're looking for, you'll see on some government documents, they'll put only New Zealand, and they'll underline the New Zealand with a strike underneath New Zealand. And only New Zealand is used in that document. But you'll see other documents where they use New Zealand and Aotearoa. Those documents are not legally binding. They're only binding in New Zealand. They can't be used because it's bridged on. And that's how the United Nations has come in through that, you see. So Aotearoa, so they work within this place called Aotearoa because their laws can't function in this place called New Zealand, which is a defined territory. And our defined territory is in the law, and Aotearoa is not in the law. What they're going to do is take this Aotearoa, they're going to change our country's name, and they're going to remove New Zealand, and they're going to put Aotearoa as the name, and they're going to steal all our constitutional laws, but they've removed all the protections, and they've put United Nations as the big hoo-ha with the 50% of Maori. So they're all trying to get the Anglo people using the word. Some of them have claimed this name, Ngāti Wikitoria, because of the amount of people that they're going to need when this new constitution, this fake constitution, which we're probably not going to be able to win, they're going to offer up a referendum to change the name of New Zealand. They're going to offer a referendum for this new constitution that includes all the refugees and all the immigrants. But you're not going to be able to win it because they've outpopulated us already. You're not going to win any referendum. But they did 2 test cases. That abortion test case, they knew that New Zealand people would never vote for that. They knew it. And yet it still passed and won. And I think they took the most heinous law that they could find, as heinous as they could, and they put it in as a test to see if they could get the referendum passed with something that New Zealand people never would have voted for. And it passed. So now, so that's
Abortion.
just, eh?
Is that the abortion laws?
Euthanasia.
Oh,
Yeah, and the euthanasia, that was another one. Yeah, they used 2 of them. Well, I believe that they will test because they've got this new constitution coming in and changing the name to Aotearoa. Once that's completed, you all are then out of the picture. You will no longer be getting all these candies and monies and all the things that the Maoris, you're not going to be getting none of that. So this is what, enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy it while it lasts. But anyway, Edward says, what do you say, Sharon?
You got up to
Oh, okay. No, I could hear the baby's thing, the music.
oh,
thing.
sorry. I'll
Yeah,
turn my mic off.
He says Ngāti Wikitoria only exists within Kahuria and thus within Aotearoa. That's Kahuria, nothing to do with your so-called 1688 Republic. If what you're saying is when they got rid of all the monarchs, but that's not correct. Which would be to do with the Rothschilds. I don't go there. The Pākehā Treaty that you're claiming was about British subjects in New Zealand, a place which didn't exist anyway. So that would make you Queen Kate of the geographical area of New Zealand, which is down in the Antarctic, the Ross Dependency. They're reckoning they've been there for 2,000 years. They're claiming over the top of the Maori. They're saying that we're ahead of the Maori. So it's 1,600 years after Tasman and 127 years after Cook. Didn't take them long, something. Once again, he says it's the Hapu whānau of Kahuria of the Waka Manenga o Aotearoa and Ngāti Wikitoria, who are the sovereign peoples of Aotearoa. Now, that you've all got to be careful there, because each of these groups is taking a piece of the treaty or a piece of the whakaputanga or a combination of both or only one, and they're picking apart all of our ancient documents. That's what they're doing. They're picking them all apart. And what I'm saying is we shouldn't be picking them all apart. We have to keep them together. Now, Ngāti Wikitoria is a very select group of people. They're on the 8th Waka. And the Ngāti Wikitoria was established in the year 1843. And it was established through Nene. And it was established in the South Island of New Zealand around the Warau area there. Now, I've told this story, but I'm just going to say it on video so everyone can watch it. How long's the video? So what had happened was William Wakefield, he had purchased all of the Chatham Islands and all of the islands around surrounding the Chatham Islands. And he had thought that that was going to be his to be selling for settlements. Then the Queen came in and reneged. The Queen came in and she said, no, that's not going to be part of the lands that are going to be given to the Anglo people. You have to remember that the South Island was gotten by discovery. The Maori never owned it. It was deemed to be terras annulus, and it was not considered to be an inhabited territory. And there was a tiny few of them up in the Warau area. Now, what had happened was when the Queen said, no, you're not getting the Chatham Islands. Eh?
Kati Mamui. That's the one.
No. They came later. I'll tell you later in another video who it is, but I'm not doing it today. But there's another group there. No, they came later. They're no.
Okay.
But anyway, Wakefield knew this, and then he sidestepped the Queen, he and his company, and they went to Germany to a group of Germans who didn't know what was going on in New Zealand, and he sold the entire Chatham Islands and all the islands around that to them for £10,000. And the owner of the ship, it was called the St. Paulie. This is the 8th Waka. The 8th Waka is the St. Paulie. And the owner of that ship, he was supposed to be responsible for all the people on it. He signed an agreement to say that he would be responsible. Now, there were 5 Sixtus brothers on that ship, a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 12-year-old. They were all child laborers from Germany. Now, that was a German ship. And when they arrived in New Zealand, the ship's captain abandoned them. And the land was, well, the Queen had done a dirty on them, Wakefield had done a dirty on them, and everybody was fighting about who had to take care of these people. And they were just dumped in the middle of the South Island, and there was nothing there. They are the people that started the dairy industry down there, and they are the one that cultivated the first lands. That they were barren lands. Nothing could be grown on it because the first lands can't be grown on. You have to cultivate the actual soil first. You have to create a topsoil, otherwise nothing will grow. And they were the ones that went and did that. Now, they were child slaves, and something must have happened, because Nene turned around, Chief Nene turned around, and they were given an acreage of land each per person on the St. Paulie. And the Maori in 1888 were all given an acreage of land for every man, woman, and child. The Maori had a trust opened for them when they did that, and that is when the Queen Victoria Trust was opened up for the children of the St. Paulie. And they were asked to work, and the money that they worked, that money would pay for that piece of land that they were given, and that money was taken by Nene and the other tribes people that were fighting against Te Raupara and fighting against the Hau tribes. And so that money was used. You should understand that some of the tribes borrowed money from the Queen to fight the wars against the other tribes that were killing them off. And that money had to be paid back. It wasn't for free, or it all had to be paid for. And so the Maori, the Nene and the Maori that were fighting against the missionaries and Te Raupara and some of those Hau and the Ratana Church, they were borrowing money against New Zealand to pay for the Maori wars. Both sides were borrowing money, both sides. And all of us were nothing to do with that. And it's just like when they have wars today, the wars have got to be paid for. And what happens is when your country goes to war, they borrow money to pay for the wars, and your future generations have to pay that money back. So the Maori were incredibly in debt. And that's why they were selling these lands, because they needed money to pay for their own wars. Nothing to do with us. Now, the Sixtus family and these people, pre-18, the treaty, the British law came in 14th of January, 1840. And this document here that I'm about to show you was signed in 1843. Hobson died in December of 1842. And Fitzroy came to New Zealand in December of 1843. And from 1842 December to 1843 December, there was no Governor General, or only a Deputy Governor General in power. And the document that I'm about to show you must have been, I'm still researching it, and I'll be going to the Waitangi Tribunal. I believe they've hidden the documents to do with Nene, and I believe they've hidden the documents to do with the St. Paulie, the 8th Waka. But the chiefs must have signed onto it, because there was not everyone that came to New Zealand that was not a New Zealand Maori was an alien to the country. Doesn't matter what the treaty said, none of them were permitted to get citizenship rights in New Zealand under an interim government. It would be like having, so if Fiji was fighting amongst themselves and the UN said, okay, we're going to come in with our peacekeepers and we're going to put in a peacekeeping government for a certain amount of time until you stop killing each other, that interim government is not allowed to import aliens into the country without the permission of the temporary parliaments that they set up. Okay, so everyone that came to New Zealand had to be approved by the New Zealand paramount chiefs, right? So this document here must have been approved, and it's kind of a little bit special. And this is, I claim, I'm announcing right now, I'm announcing to you, Edward Moses, I'm announcing to Kahuria Rao, I'm telling you all, get in your fucking lanes, get in your lanes, because I am rising up to be the paramount chief of the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe, and they're all going under me. I'm going to be taking care of them, and we don't need you to take care of us anymore, because we ain't going under your crappy laws that you've decided that we're all going under. So I'm announcing that to Edward Moses, Missy, whatever her name is, and I'm announcing that to Tiahini Wharikura Kingi, that you are relinquished and you are renounced of all rights and all claim and all authority over the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe. I do not consent. I've got the papers. I am the owner of the 8th Waka, and I've got the proof here, and I'm going to show it to you right now. So you are renounced, all right? Renounced. Telling you, get in your own lane. So the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe is this tribe here. And this is the Germans that came on the St. Paulie. It was specifically and only to the Germans that came on the St. Paulie and nobody else, okay? It says it was for the naturalization, and it said certain, not all, only certain German settlers to the colony of New Zealand. Now, this was signed by the Governor General in 1844 because Fitzroy, came to power in June of 1844. But this actually was given to them on the 14th day of June, 1843. This was at a time when New Zealand had no constitution. And this is a special document. It says, have recently settled in this colony, and Her Majesty has been graciously pleased to assent to the removal from them within this colony of the disabilities to which aliens are subject by law subject, or are by law subject. All of the immigrants that were here, according to the treaty, all of them remained aliens to the country of New Zealand. The only ones that became, they basically made us Maori, were this group here, and it's not a big group either. And it was therefore enacted by the Governor General of New Zealand with the advice and consent of the Legislative Council. All in singular, the persons are particularly described in the schedule hereunto annexed shall be to all intents and purposes whatsoever within the colony of New Zealand deemed and taken to be and to have been from the 14th day of June 1800 natural born subjects of Her Majesty, as if they had been respectively been born within the realm of New Zealand. Now, the only people on here are this group, and these are the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe, and this is the 8th Waka sitting right here. So there's were the people of the 8th Waka, and they were made, the next person that went and got this document was Tamati Waka Nene, and he can be found in, okay, let me try and find it. So Tamati Waka Nene, I'll just have to, does anyone want to say anything? Any questions? No questions?
No questions, dear. I'm loving this.
So Kate,
Um,
does that mean,
yeah.
you know, that 999-year lease or that 1,000-year lease for
Yeah.
Protestants? You don't come under that then, do you?
No,
You
No,
are
these-
like, you
these
are like
people-
Māori.
we are, this is the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe. This is what you're looking at right here. They went on the number 2 document. The number 1 document was the temporary laws of New Zealand that were only temporary because they were under a scaffolding government, and they all had to be approved by the paramount chiefs, and they were only subordinate laws. But this is the only constitutional law that came to power in New Zealand pre-1852. And the other one came from, right, hang on, I've got to see if I can get my different documents here so everyone can see. I'll put this up today so everyone can see all the documents, because I have wanted to do a video, but now that I've met all these people, they're all trying to get the Ngāti Wikitoria under them, and I'm saying to them, I will not allow. I'm going to the Waitangi Tribunal, and I'm going to get this put up correctly, and I'm going to have it corrected at the Waitangi Tribunal. And I know that they've got the documents for this. So the Tamati Waka Nene, can you still see my screen? You'll see here. Now I have to go under. This was 1862, but there's a document down here. We went up in 1843 and hang on, it just takes me a wee minute. You'll see here who would have approved it. This is the guy that would have approved it. So wait till I can find it. It takes me a wee minute. Who's snoring?
The dog.
The dog?
Mm.
The dog snores?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, Kate, you know how Kohurido
Yeah.
class Ngāti Wikitoria is pretty much anyone that's non-Māori, eh?
Yeah. Very bad.
So anyone that's non-Māori comes under the name of Ngāti Wikitoria.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but you've got that waka with the names on it. That is actual
Proof.
persons on that waka.
Yep.
Yeah, and
So-
here I can't flip this up, but you'll see here under K8 it says Thomas Walker Nene, and he also naturalized himself. He went after us in 1847, so he would have been the chief that approved of us, of my group. My group only got approved because they had been tricked by everyone, by the Queen, the Maori, the Wakefield. they had been tricked, and everybody had to make amends to the people on that ship because they were all innocent. And the way that they made amends is they made us the 8th Waka. And here's Thomas Walker Nene, and he ascended in 1847, and he was actually a government worker. And there's actually more on there, but I can't find it for today because it takes me a while. But I can also show you another document that I have from hang on, I'll just find one more for you. Anyone can talk if they want while I'm looking.
Hey, bro, it's probably good that you press mute on your whoever that is running, walking around.
No, sorry, my battery's going low.
You just press mute, bro.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, much better now.
Oh, okay. So I'm trying to find this thing for you. Hang on a minute. Let's get a bit more interesting again. German settlers. German settlement. Is it here? Right. So this document here, can everybody see this? Yeah. So this document here was produced in 1964. And this tells all about what went on. I'm not going to read it to you. But if you go down here on this document, so we know that Thomas Waka Nene was the paramount chief that was working, would have been the one who approved on laws and things. And then I'm going to show you another document in a minute. Not all of the people, so, oh no. These are the people of the Skjold. These people here came on another ship called the Skjold in 1844, but they are not the Ngāti Wikitoria. They're not in it. The only ones in the Ngāti Wikitoria are these ones here that came on the St. Paulie. See this St. Paulie? They came on the 14th, they arrived on the 14th of June, 1843, and they were left destitute and starving. And they were just dumped there. They were the ones that paid £10,000, which is not the same as the Skios. And so they arrived on the 14th of June, and this here was done on exactly that day. Oh my God, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, on exactly that day,
That's
the day
interesting.
that they arrived, they received it. So yeah, there's something going on there, but that is the 8th Waka that they're talking about. And that is the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe, and I'm reclaiming them. And anyone that's on that, so, but that does not apply to these other people here that came on the Saint Skios. They were a different lot. Now, the people that came on the Saint Skios, they came under a different one. Now, I'm going to show you the difference in a minute to what they came under. And then you'll be able to see, because I'll show you the Maori one in a minute. I'm going to show you, I've showed you our one. Now I'm going to show you their one. Then I'm going to show you the Maori one that's just for the Maori. And you'll see that ours, the St. Paulie and the 8th Waka and the Maori one are the same. But the other two are not the same. So I'm going to show you that. Yeah, so they're very different. So those ones that came on the same scale, where is it?
What's the scale got to do with anything though?
I'm not really, well, there were only 2 ships that came from Germany. There were only 2. One was
Oh,
the St. Paulie and one was the Scaled.
I
I
get it.
think that the Scaled come much later, and I'm not sure if it was bound up in the Chatham Island affair. I think it was only the St. Paulie, and then the St. It's strange that the St. Paulie were the only ones, I've only just seen that even today, immediately on their arrival, they were made not aliens within New Zealand. So I'm still researching it, but I reckon down at that tribunal, and I'm going to get in touch with the Tikanga Law Society, because I bet they know. It may be hidden. I know that anything to do with Tamati Nene is hidden. You can find very, very little on him, and for such an important paramount chief there, and who existed quite late, you would think that there would be a lot. He was the one that headed up the Komarama conference. He was the one that went there and led the whole thing. So for such an important chief who was around at the time that we had written Maori language and all laws were written in Maori, there should be quite a bit written about him, and yet there's nothing. And the St. Paulie has been hidden. It's all been hidden, and I'm going to try and bring it out.
Yeah.
So here's the one. Here's the 1858 Naturalisation Act. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Here's the 1858 Naturalisation Act. And what you'll see here is that it says, whereas the naturalisation of 1856, it was amongst other things enacted. This is after the 1852 Constitution was produced. And it was that all in singular, the persons should be declared to come within the operation of that act. So they've put them under an act of New Zealand. By any proclamation to be issued by the government should, until the termination of the General Assembly, which Sharon has informed me that's a religious organisation, be deemed and taken to be within the islands of New Zealand. So now it's called New Zealand. The reason why it's called New Zealand and not called the colony, because you can see the difference. Here it's called within the colony. And it says colony of New Zealand, but what you'll see here in this one is it says islands of New Zealand, because by this time you had the 1852 Constitution, you had your own laws.
Yeah.
Is what you had by this time. So they were able to make laws. So it's just very strange with the St. Paulie, the 8th Waka, how that came, why that happened there. There must be a story. And whereas the persons particularly described in the marked Annex A have from time to time been so declared to come within the operations of the said recited acts, it is expedient that there should be removed from them within the colony of New Zealand, now they've said colony of New Zealand, the disabilities to which aliens are by law subject. So here it's using that. It's slightly different, and what you'll see in here, be it therefore enacted, what you'll see in here is that the persons who are particularly described in Schedule A to this Act Annex shall to all intents and purposes whatsoever within the colony of New Zealand be deemed and taken to be, to have been from the dates set opposite their respective names, natural born subjects of Her Majesty, as if they had been respectively born within the realm of England. Now this has come into an article. There's an Article A and an Article B. all right? And then it's got a whole lots of stuff. But when you go and look at them, you'll see that they've come from many countries and they're all different dates. This one's October, and then you've got this one in June. You've got them coming from Prussia. You've got them coming from the United States, France, Sweden. And this was just like this is the Citizen Act that they're trying to get you under now, Brent. That's what they're talking about. You don't want to come under this. And you see they're all on different dates. Well, you'll see that on this one, it's all done in this preamble, and it's only talks about for certain German settlers. But I've actually got family on both, because this one has got in Schedule A, has also got 2 sextuses down here, one here and one here. So they're in there too. But I don't think that they are in the Waka. Only this group are in the Waka here. And they're all German. It was all done on the day that that ship landed in New Zealand. This was done by Tamati Waka Nene, because he was the one working in the office. And we know that. Yeah. So then if you go to the next one, that you've got, the next one is the 1865. I can just type it in. The next one you've got is the 1865 Native Rights Act. And what you'll see in here, see that treaty was, it only said on that treaty to concur. It isn't a binding document. But what I'm saying to you is this: they wrote a new treaty, and they wrote a new treaty between 1975 and 1986. They wrote a new treaty, a brand new one, and they removed Her Majesty of England, the Queen. They removed it, and they removed the word subject, and they added a 4th article, and they went into a 50% partnership with the United Nations. That's what I'm saying they've done.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And so, but we, anybody that's in my Ngāti Wikitoria tribe, any of you tribes that want to join up with me, we've still got these documents. These are still in law today, and they have not been removed from the law, and they can't remove them. They can't do
They
it.
can't remove.
So they're
No,
trying
because
to get
they are Protestants.
yeah, they're trying to get you under inalienable rights.
It's Steve right.
To make you like the American Indians, aliens in your own country.
I got a question.
Yes, dear.
Says here. Oh, where's that document gone?
Do you want me to put it back? Yes, dear. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm just gonna... An act to declare that the Māori shall be. So where did the word Maoris come from?
Exactly.
All right, I'll explain all that to you in a minute. Write that question down, and I'll show you all the there are 5 documents.
65.
Okay? Yeah, I'm going to explain that to you. So keep that. That's a very important question. But let me show the 5 documents, and then I'll turn the documents off, and I'll come back and I'll explain you. But yes, the official moment. I don't think they used Maoris in the 1852 Constitution.
No, they didn't.
The official moment when
did they bring that in is my question, but we'll come back to it. You carry on.
Let's come back to it. But it looks like here that you've just said. So this is the 1865, and it says here to declare that the Maoris shall be deemed to be natural born subjects of Her Majesty and to declare that the jurisdiction of the Queen's courts of law extends over the persons and properties of all Her Majesty's subjects within the colony.
Yeah.
So that included all the people of 1858.
Yeah.
And that included all the people on the 8th Waka, these people. But there's another document. Now, what you'll notice about is these two documents is what you'll notice is that natural born subjects of Her Majesty's, whereas doubts have been raised whether certain persons of the Maori race are natural born subjects of Her Majesty's, whether the Queen's courts of law within the colony of New Zealand have jurisdiction in all cases, touch the persons and property of the Maori people. It is expedient that all such doubts should be removed. And then they said that this will be the Native Rights Act, and every person of the Maori race within the colony of New Zealand, whether born before or since New Zealand became a dependency, shall be taken and deemed to be. This included all of us, but there was another one. Now, there's one more. The 1908 Native Rights Consolidate. Now, in the 1908 Native Rights Consolidate, can you see that one there?
Yep.
Yeah. So that one there is, that one there says, be it enacted by the General Assembly. This is relating only to the rights of Maoris. So you see here, you see this one is relating to all. It includes Maoris and includes all people, all of these people.
Yep.
But what you'll see here in this one here, it only relates to certain German settlers. And the only ones that that relates to are the people that came on the St. Paulie. That's them there. They had an appendix, there must have been an appendix A. So these are them there, only these ones, okay? And then, but you'll see here, this one only relates to the rights of Maoris, the Native Rights Act. This is the consolidation of the enactments mentioned. So it includes the 1865, that every person of the Maori race in New Zealand, whether born before or since, will be a natural born subject. And here, every title to or interest in land over which the native title has not been extinguished shall be determined according to the ancient custom and usage of the Maori people, so far as the same can be ascertained.
Wow.
So that, yes, so this is not like that treaty, which is a feeble document. This is saying that their ancient lands belong to them and only them and nobody else.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? So this is your go-to document, not the treaty. And it's firm and strong and backed up. And
Amazing.
so, which is, yeah, so this one here, yeah, this one here is only saying every title to or interest in land over which the native title shall not have been extinguished shall be determined according to the ancient custom and usage of the Maori people, so far as the same can be ascertained. Any action in which the title or interest in such land is involved, the judge before whom the same shall be tried shall order that any issue or issues in such action in which such title or interest is involved, whether they be issues of fact or issues of Maori custom or issues of Maori usage, shall be tried in the native land courts by the Maori, not by the Pākehā, and the judge of the native land courts before whom the same shall be tried shall return the verdict or judgment as the case may be in the Supreme Court. So they gave them Supreme Court power, supreme absolute power of your own lands. And such verdict or judgment shall be taken as conclusive, both as to fact and as to Maori custom or usage, and shall be dealt with by the Supreme Court in the same manner, and shall have the same effect as the verdict of a jury in the Supreme Court. So they handed all your affairs over to your own court with your own Maori judges, and they said, that's yours and nobody can interfere with it. And you will be the same as a Supreme Court judge over your own things. But,
Oh, there's a but.
well, no, there's no but about that. That's firm. But this top bit says that the governance of the Queen's governance will apply to all of us. So the land bit was given to you, but the governance was over all of us, right?
So break that down, Kate. What does that mean?
Okay, so we'll go to the 5 documents, right?
For the record.
So here's the first one that
Yeah.
you get. That's the St. Paulie.
18.
And we were given land. Immediately when we arrived, we were given land to make up for the land that was stolen from us, because we were tricked by everyone.
Yeah.
And Tamati Waka Nene, I think it was him, but I'm not sure, but I think it was, he gave us land that we could, because they were children, they were only 12 years old. And so they were put into a trust and they were given land, and they were made not aliens. So they were actually practically made to be, they were adopted by the Maori.
They were whāngai.
Yes,
Pretty much.
they really were.
No, you don't need to. You should be charged.
No,
We-
one.
We were whāngai, but not everyone. Everyone's not whāngai. Only the people on the St. Paulie, and they've started whāngaiing all sorts of people onto the Ngāti Wikitoria, and I'm saying you can get them all out.
Yeah.
They're not born to these people, then they're not belonging to the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe, and I'm going to go and get it re-established. I'm going to do that. So they were the first ones, and then after them, Tamati Waka Nene, he went and made himself a subject, and he made himself a subject because of all those things that I just told you that he was going to get. They were going to have their own court, which had Supreme Court status. They were going to have their own land, their own power over their own land, and they were going to have all of that. And every time the Maoris were fighting over who owned the land, they would go to a Maori land court led by Maori for Maori. And so that's all that. Then you had all the people that wanted to come and become citizens. And what you'll see on that document is that it doesn't have the word Maori on it. It ain't on it. This is just,
Native.
it's just,
Native.
It's just only people coming to get citizenship, to be not aliens, that they can live in New Zealand and stay in New Zealand. And on this one, it does not have any, rights to any land. Okay, so that's not in there. Only it gave them the right to live in New Zealand. And if the New Zealand Maori wanted to sell them a little piece of land, then they could buy it, but they could not buy pure title. They could buy the paper title through the Queen. So you can see there that there's no land thing on there. It's a little wee bit different from the first one, because they've got to be natural born subjects of Her Majesty, but over in this one, it said that, it specifically said Her Majesty is graciously pleased. So this was a direct order from the Queen Victoria. And that's why these ones are called Ngāti Wikitoria, because this was a direct order that this would be given to these people. But whereas this one is an overall that all of them would become subjects of Her Majesty. It's very different. And then when you go here, you'll see that the Maoris now they made the Maoris natural born subjects of Her Majesty, and she said the Queen's Court would be over all of them. But on this one, she also puts a 5th section. She put a 4th section, and she put a 5th section. All these sections here are specifically only for the New Zealand Maori, and it was in regards to their ownership of their lands. So I don't know what he's raving on about Article 2nd. This is the document that puts it's the go-to document. And then when you go here, for this one, it was a consolidate, but they separated your lands from that thing where it had governance and lands, but this one did not have the governance. This one just said all ownership of your native lands would be yours, and it doesn't talk about governance. So I don't quite, and then this one
Yes.
is very specific only to the Maori, similar to this one here. So those are the 5 documents that have power. So what's the questions on there now? Kiwi?
Oh, darling. So you've just debunked his whole whakapapa. and sorry to say, bro, unless you can come up with documents that are legit to debunk Captain Cape.
That's right.
And the thing about it though, Kiwi, is there has been nothing. If they've been here 2,000 years, nowhere on any legal documents does it mention ko huiarei.
No.
And I sort of get where they're coming from. That they're trying to achieve a Māori
Identity.
governance, a governance, which is what Kate was saying. There was some sort of governance, but was it kohurido?
It doesn't say. There's nothing. There's no paperwork, no documents going all the way back to 1688 that even refers to ko huiarei. Doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Kate's asked for them to prove it, and nothing's come about it.
Exactly.
No, they keep saying that they've got the seals, but
Yeah.
they haven't sent me any seals. They've shown me some photocopied papers of the 8-point star and a bunch of things that they wrote up themselves. And yeah, and the I mean, I'm not saying that they can't be a group. They can be a group, and they can there's nothing wrong with forming a group. I mean, anyone can form a group, and you can have the knitting club, and you can have the
Yeah, but
anyone can form a group and ask everyone to come.
Just stop trying to be the dominant group.
Stop trying to be exactly, because the New Zealand Maori, they want all these documents. They don't recognize even these documents here. They don't recognize them, And
I've got to ask why.
well, why would you reject this? Because it says here that your
Exactly.
lands are yours and yours alone, according to
Exactly.
your ancient customs, according to everything that you wanted.
Yep.
You got it. You got all of that.
Yeah. Like
And
these documents actually help them, but for some reason they want dominance. They want
Exactly. Overall power.
Yeah.
Hi, sissy. I broke.
I think they're just backed by political parties, and when it comes time to election time, they get all the people to vote for the party that they want to get into power. I believe that there's a bit of skullduggery going on here.
Well,
But those documents,
remember, Kate, when we first found out about Kohuiaro, we went on and looked at it. We even went to their interview with Derek Fox, and Mihi Forbes, my hinarangi, says to Derek Fox, I suppose your next question's going to be, where did the money come from? And he goes, no, it wasn't even going to be about that, but she wasn't going to tell them anyway. She said she didn't have to tell them where the money came from. Right there, that was a red flag. And then they went off out of the picture for 10 years because Māori wouldn't recognise them.
and then they've gone and stolen the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe, haven't they? Yeah.
Yes.
They stole us.
The
And
whole-
I'm claiming
Wow.
The hijack.
Apparently not so
hijack-
much stolen. Not so much stolen. Somebody gave you to them.
Well, they're trying to hijack your
Well,
Waka.
it sounds like.
they hijacked. No, they're not trying to.
They
They
did.
did.
'Cause
They
they're playing.
hijacked my Waka. Now give it back. Just give it back, because I know. Because you can see there quite clearly, she says it. I mean, there's no doubt about that they've thieved my Waka, and you can just give my Waka back. She says it. Look there, can you see that?
I can see that.
That's what she says. She says, we have had Ngāti Wikitoria, Aotearoa, amongst our kahuiarau ever since Tai Opuru gifted the 8th Waka. Well, that's my Waka. I didn't
Because
say
they're talking about the second Waka, because it's got what, Indians, Egyptians, Ahara, and the
Polynesians.
Western, of course, were only Germanic.
they needed a Waka. They couldn't prove their Waka. They had no Waka, and they couldn't prove it. So the Maoris said, well, I come on Waka number 1, and I come on Waka number 2, and I come on Waka number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then they said, hey, where's your Waka? They said, well, we come on the Waka of Kupe, but they said, hey, but there's no Kupe Waka. And so now they went and stole the 8th Waka, and they said, that's our Waka there, because they didn't have one. Evil.
It's shocking. Honestly, I am laughing, darling, because honestly, it's shocking what they're doing. But I'm glad you're going to claim back your Waka. Honestly, I'm glad you are. And for my Pākehā side too, because
And some of them are, and you can't just whangai people into your tribe either. They've been whangaiing every man and his dog onto our Waka, and they could all get off because I'll be throwing them off and out to the sharks. I'll be making them all walk the plank. Get my Waka with a big long plank, and I'll be saying, get on there, and I'll be blindfolding them and pushing them off. So what?
Get off my boat! Get off my boat!
Yeah. So
That's the way, hon. You can't you know, it's like let's say Te Arawa. You know, it's like, okay, if you didn't come on this Waka, you're a stowaway.
Yeah, you stowaways. You stowaways, and we've caught ya. We've caught ya. And what do you do with the stowaways when you catch them on your ship? You make them walk the plank and throw them to the sharks, don't ya?
The burley.
Yeah, the burley.
The what?
The burley.
What's the
Shark
burley?
food. Food for the fish.
Oh, is that burley? Yeah, they're the burley. I'll make a big sign on my thing saying I'm throwing you to the burley. Might be a t-
No, you are burley. Burley
I'm
is
not fucking burley, I'm on the Waka.
listen.
Sharon.
They are the burleys.
They're the
They're the
burleys.
fish. Yeah, they're the burleys.
I'm on the Waka.
Yeah, you're on the Waka.
Rangatira.
You're the captain. I love you
I've
as a
got
captain.
my captain's hat. Look, Kiwi. I've got my captain's hat.
No,
I've got my chief Nene here.
Oh,
He's
Amy.
all-
Your tupuna, Kate.
He's
That's
my
your
chief
whānau
Nene.
tupuna.
Aye.
Yeah. So I'll be collecting up anyone on the St. Paulie, and they're the ones that are in the Queen Victoria Trust with Nene. We're in that trust, and I'll be looking for that because I know there's a trust, and I'll be looking for it. And so I'm going to be going down. I'm just letting you know, Edward Moses and Tianini Farikura Kingi. I'm just letting you all know. I'm going down to claim back the Waka, the 8th Waka of the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe, which belongs to me. And I've got all the evidence, and I'll be having it announced at the court. One of the courts is going to announce it because I think I can use that 1908.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I've
as a
been
native,
funded.
yeah, you can. Yep. As a native, you
You
can.
know. And I want to tell you about that Maori thing,
Yeah, oh, you
because
can.
that comes up. All right, you have to know. All right, I'll see if I can find it here, because sometimes I can't find it, but I've always wanted to talk about this.
Cool,
Honestly, Kate, they've ever used, Kiwi, they've ever used the name Māori. We've been tagged on to refugees. Sorry, they've been tagged on to us, and we're now known as refugee Māoris.
100%, Sissy. 100%.
That's
And I'm
nice,
not,
isn't it?
I renounce the word Māori. I renounce what it stands for. I'm going back under Protestant and get my subject status back.
Hallelujah, sis. And the other, there's a few words too that there's a few words that contract to these corporations. Is
Yes.
marae too. Is marae.
Yep.
We didn't
Yep.
use marae. We use pa.
Pa, all the time. It was pa.
I remember they were called pars.
Yep.
I never used the word marae.
Yeah.
We
No.
always used the word pa, didn't we?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's dead
exactly.
right.
Even when I'm always saying to Sharon, I'm saying down at the pa. When we used to go down
Yeah.
to the pa, it was always pa, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So when you look
Always.
back at the word Māori, when you look at the word marae, now that the government corporation contracts that. So
Yep.
when they contracted the marae, I'm just going to do a quick one. When they do a contract under marae, so they stop the holding tangis during
Yeah.
COVID at the marae. But
Yeah.
if you change the word marae to pa, they couldn't
They couldn't stop
control it.
you. Dead right.
They couldn't,
They
what? Can you
couldn't
say
stop
that?
it.
Live rights.
Huh?
So when COVID contracted the word marae, because marae is contracted just like Māori. It's they contracted marae, so we couldn't hold a tangihanga on
With that
the
name.
marae. But if we changed it and said tangi
Pa.
kaureka pa, we could,
Yep.
because they haven't contracted the word pa.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because they wanted to change it, and that's why.
And that's why you have to be careful of Aotearoa.
That's
because
right.
even that's-
Under Aotearoa, you are a lawless country. You're naked in the jungle. You've got
Yep.
no protections. And we were just in this meeting, weren't we, Sharon? That
Yeah.
I said to them, even though you're under the crown and you're under these laws, that you've got this heinous government that you hate, but at least you have a government in your country. And if you just totally remove all of that,
Yes. Bang
and
on.
you have only this tikanga law and no constitutions, no nothing, everyone is, and that's what they're doing, is coming to take your country because you're not protected. So I'm
Exactly.
not saying that you can't get the Queen out. I'm not saying that you can't even get the government out and have your Maori government. I'm saying before you do that, you've got to put protections to
Yes.
protect your borders
Constitutions, yeah.
first, and
Yeah.
then go and do that. You don't, it's no good trying to do it afterwards. And so if you change this name to Aotearoa, if you allow them to do this, you're going to be a nation of all independent tribes. None of them agree with
With
each
nothing.
other. And you're
Yeah.
going to have no constitutional laws to stop every man and his dog just walking on in everything. But currently, the lands are protected under the Ngāti Wikitoria because the crown lands that are under the Anglo people, they can't touch them. That's why
Right.
they're after us at the moment.
Yes.
They cannot touch them. So they've set up this Ngāti Wikitoria tribe to try and bring all the Anglo to trick them. They're tricking them. That's what they're trying to do, to trick
Yeah.
them. So it's like they've tricked you. They tricked you into the refugee status, and now they're out to trick us. But they're not going to trick us with Kate Floss around, because I know what's going
Yeah.
on.
That's
And
right.
yeah, that's right. We know what's, we three know what's going on, don't we? Yeah. So, but you see what they've done? They've attached all the refugees onto the Maori and called them all Indigenous.
Yeah.
Who are the Indigenous people? If you go under that Indigenous right, the Indigenous family, you've got the Somalians, you've got the Israelis, you've got the Palestinians, you've got the Indonesians. They're all Indigenous. You're better off just not being Indigenous.
Yeah.
But now
Yes, 'cause I'm renouncing that too.
done is trying to attach them. Now, I want to tell you about why they made you Maori. I'm going to tell you a quick
Oh,
thing
cool.
about
Yeah,
that.
let's get into that. Let's get into that.
That, if you look at the word Aboriginal, it is actually A, B, and then the word original. And all of your individual areas under the Commonwealth Act of Australia, Section 6, each one of your areas is a state in its own right. Think
Yeah.
Vatican, think the Vatican, right?
Yeah.
You can have a whole country and then you can have a state.
With it.
Each one of your areas, because of those documents that I've showed you, is an independent state.
Yeah.
Now, and you are all called original states. This
Yeah.
means that it is land that is in pure title, it's not in paper title, and you're not allowed to sell it. You're allowed to trade it amongst tribes.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to sell it to anybody outside. And so the AB represents the tribes. Each tribe is an A and a B. And when you want to discuss laws and things, you come together in a circle. It's a mathematical equation done like this. It's actually deeper in this, but this is just the simple bit. So everything that they do dates back to a man called Saint Sixtus of Rheims, who is an ancestor of mine, who was the person that started the Catholic Church. He was called Saint Sixtus of Rheims, and they belonged to a society that did everything in nature
Mathematically.
comes back to mathematical equations. And so that you see here that you've got AB And what you'll see here is this thing going on over here in B, and this thing going on over here in A, right? And then you'll see them come together in the middle here. So this is your original state. So I'm over here on this blue one here. Let's just do this one for just for argument's sake. Right, so over here you've got number 7, that might be Waka number 1, got number 8, here's Waka number 2, and each one of these areas is an independent state in its own right.
Yep.
And then you have one here that is a body that encompasses all of these together to do your politics down at the Waitangi grounds and everything. That comes in the middle. So each one of your tribes is AB. And if you go back over to here, you'll see that this is one document that encompasses all of these people, but you'll see on this one over here, you'll see that they've got an A schedule.
I get all this first. Of course, it seems like you're not going to be going out for dinner, so I'm going to have to do it myself again. Grab some money.
All right, can you get it out my bag, please? Right, you'll see a B. Here's the A, and here is the B down here. And then they have Schedule A and Schedule B.
Yep.
So there are a lot of people that came after this, but these were also a special group of people, but I don't really quite understand what their role was. But many of these families came from the St. Paulie families, because some of them have got the same names, but not all of them. All right. So then when you go over here, was it over here in the Native Rights Act? I think it did the AB again. Not quite sure. But the AB came from when they decided to do this, and when they decided to put all of your lands under the Native Land Court, they couldn't do it if you were behaving in the AB model. They weren't able to do it because behaving in the AB model, you all had your different customs in each area, and it would be impossible to conduct any kind of parliaments with all of you. You'd all be killing each other and fighting each other. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they removed, at that time, they removed your AB status. And not only that, a lot of the Maoris were half castes.
Yeah.
And what we have come up with is that Ma in Maori meant white. And Ori came from the word original. So that was a mix of the Aboriginal and the white, because almost just about all of by 1865, not all, but quite a huge number had been half-casted. And the reason why was because of all the wars that almost wiped out your people. The numbers were too low to keep the population up. So and there's a lot of it, the white people liked the dark skin, and the dark skin liked the white skin, and we just could not resist the sexual advances of each other. So we intermingled with that. That would stand to reason why they came up with this word, Maori, which would be white, and original, and it just was the word for half caste. We had the word half caste, and you had the word Ma with original, and that's how you get the word Maori.
I'm glad you actually brought this up, darling, because that actually makes sense.
It does.
It
does
does.
make a lot of sense.
And then once you had that, in 1888, Sydney Sydney David Tangifai. I've done a video on this.
What do you want me to go and get?
I'll be happy with Gillian or something. I'd like an egg and some Calpat. Calpat's all right. And a Pepsi. You want to make up to me for being so rude? A Pepsi would be nice.
No, I'm there. Do you want me to shut up?
Hi there.
I said, I'm talking to my friends. No, yes, it certainly does make sense of that. And when they wanted to make a separate government organisation for your people. And they did, because they did the Maori affairs. Well,
Yeah.
Sydney David Tangifai, you should know his constitution, Kiwi, I'll do it another day. He said every single man, woman and child would get a piece of land.
Yes,
And
yes.
Yes, and then all of the land that was left, so everyone got an acreage, and that happened to the St. Paulie group as well.
Yeah.
Every single one of them got given an acreage of land. I haven't investigated that, but somebody mentioned it to me and I haven't followed up on it. And then
Yeah.
they also got extra land, and all those extra lands went into your Maori Trust. And then that was set up a government, and he said, you'll have a government exactly the same as the Pākehā, except it'll be your own. And so we were nothing to do with it. So you had judges, you had a prime minister, you had ministers, you had district councils, you had everything that we had. You had exactly the same. And
Okay.
they wouldn't have been able to do that under the Aboriginal status.
So that was a Māori governance that was created
set up.
then,
Yep.
right?
That was
Right.
created
So
in
what was the name?
1888.
So what was the name of, what year was that, darling?
1888.
So-
Sydney David Tangifai.
So
So
what was the
you-
name of that Māori government?
I'm going to
Native
tell you.
Māori affairs. Native
Yeah,
Māori-
that was the Maori affairs. That was the Maori affairs. And what do they call it now?
Maori affairs.
My house.
Um,
See, our kids, our tamariki today, they can't afford a house, eh? We couldn't afford it back in the time. We tried to
so-
get a loan from Housing Corp, because you could buy it. Low income earners can buy houses from, or get a loan from Housing
Hang
Corp.
on. Yep, hang on, sis.
They wouldn't give it to us because I had something to do with our wages anyway, but they said, go back to your side, the Māori side, and go to your Māori affairs and apply for a loan through there. I think we were the last to get Māori affair homes.
Yeah, you're right. You're bang on there, because
oh, that's right.
you're bang on, darling, because I remember that. I remember
See, this is the thing. Why did our native people let all of that go? Why did they let
Yes.
Right.
corporation government let it all go? Take it off them. Why? They could have fought for it
Exactly.
because it was ours.
Who took over?
It was
who
yours
took over?
already.
Who
The
wanted
government took it all out.
the Māori affairs? So who
Yep.
took over the Māori affairs that stripped away that, not a privilege, I'm not on that's
Ownership, rightful
ownership, yeah.
sovereign ownership.
exactly
You
who-
had rightful sovereign ownership on
Ownership. Yep.
anything to do with
Everything.
your people, anything.
bang on.
We have nothing to do with you. And why
No.
have you lost it? Who did that to you? Well, some greedy
Yeah, who
people
did it?
sold you to
That's the
America.
question.
That's who did it.
Who? Who was
The
it?
America.
the greedy people that sold you to America.
Including our own people, our own elite
The
people. let
own
it go.
people. Right.
They let it
I
go.
We never
They-
did it. You can all stop blaming us because we never
Yeah.
did it. No.
Oh, sis, I don't blame, honestly, I do not blame
But
Pākehā
there
or-
are questions, eh?
It's our own people that have
Yeah.
done a duty on our people. They have
Yes.
they have got people in situations, you know, even with the Māori land court.
Yep.
There is something seriously wrong with their place.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
totally
cheating
agree.
you left, right, and centre. They're cheating you. I don't even want to go and deal with it because they're cheated. There's so much cheating going on down there. Lying. They changed the word. The word for governance in Maori
Exactly.
is Takoti, K-O-T-I.
They're courting.
And
Yeah.
and then they changed the Te Chua Whenua, and they changed that one word to Takoti. And they said everything
Exactly.
belongs to Takoti. And Takoti is the Jehovah's Witness Church. That's
What?
Takoti. Yes.
What?
What? I've always known
No
Takoti to be
Everything
knowing
belongs to
the
them.
court.
Yes.
No
They
way.
removed the word Takoti, and Takoti means governance. And Takoti is the word that's used in all the Maori documents. Never, ever, ever did they use Takoti. Takoti was a tribe that was that used to go around raping, pillaging, cutting off heads, and it was backed by the Jehovah's
Takoti, yeah.
Witness Church that we were
Takoti.
reading in the dictionary, wasn't it, Sharon? And
Yeah.
I'm trying to find Sydney David, the one that I have, the proposals.
So while you're looking for that, Sharon, yeah, we'll go back to the,
Yes.
you know, the us being able to buy the houses,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, under that scheme. They called it a scheme.
Yeah.
the reason why you weren't allowed to get loans at the normal bank, it wasn't, so those Americans, that American guy wrote a bullshit, Bartholomew somewhere, and he wrote a bullshit book and got 30,000 copies paid for by the New Zealand government to be put in all New Zealand schools. And he said that New Zealand Anglo people were so racist that we wouldn't let Maoris get a loan from the bank, but this is not true.
No.
Your land
No,
is
no.
in the pure title, and the banks will not give loans on pure title, because if you don't pay it back, they're not allowed to take your land. So the only place that banks will give a loan is on paper title. That is land that the Maori had sold to the Queen to get money to fight their wars, and the Queen holds the pure title, and she sells the Anglo people a paper title. And if the paper title is not paid back, it is the Queen that, I don't know, there's some kind of a thing that goes on there. Don't ask, I'm not a person like that. But anyway, the banks can claim that paper title back, and they can own it still in the paper title, but yours is pure title called black gold. It's the rarest land in the world, and the United Nations and Bill Gates, they are after your pure title because it's so rare. And the United Nations has made a thing in their law that now listen carefully. Remember what I told you about being a state?
Yeah.
The United Nations has made a law that refugees under the Indigenous rights are permitted to buy land on your state. It means that they're permitted to buy your pure title. And so that's what's coming if we don't get this sorted out. So that's why, so the Maori Affairs, when they did it through themselves, all that money that they used, because David Tangifai said that all the money of the Maori Affairs, you would be self-sufficient. There was enough money coming from your leases, from your lands, from your properties to function your own organisation. And so the reason why that is it's not fair that you take taxpayers' money and use it for only that group and that person that paid it, didn't get any rewards from that. So that's unfair. So we said yours will be managed by yours, and anything that you want, you can get from all your rents and things, right?
Yeah.
But you'll also be in the crown pool of the parliament, where you're entitled to all the same things as all the common pools. There's a common pool and there's a native pool. And so that native pool, because all that money for all those leases and all of that, it's yours. It belongs to you anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
And
were
they're after that money too.
So they, yes, because it's your money. They kept it, but it's yours. So they took some of that money and they gave you loans. And if you didn't pay it back, well, you basically were not paying back your own money, weren't you? So
Yeah.
they tried to get you to pay it back. And then if you, because here's the thing about pure title land. This is the truth. This is why they did it. A native is permitted to trade pure title between a native. The only people that are not allowed to buy your pure title are subjects, us. And that is why the Queen was in charge of 54 countries, because we, all of us from Europe, all white people, you might as well say all white people except Americans are forbidden by law to buy pure title. We're forbidden.
Yeah.
And so that's why they put us in your countries as a human shield to protect you from all the people that were coming in from countries that were not bound by that law and buying up your pure title. So that's why that happened. So that I told you, the Maori fairs, if you got a loan from them, since that was all the native Maori pure title lands sat with them, if you didn't pay it back, they were allowed to confiscate it from you. The banks were not allowed, but they were allowed. Yes. And that pure title land, here's the interesting thing. That whole trust belongs to all of you. So if you did not pay back your loan, they confiscated your land, right? But even though they confiscated your land from you, it went back into your trust, of which you were a member of. So you never really lost, you kind of lost your land, but you kind of didn't. So that's why, and I'm not understanding what they do. What they're doing now, I have no idea. I just can't tell you. But I'm only going by what I've read from the ancient documents have been telling me. And that's, I said to this guy, didn't I, Sharon, today? I said, I ain't trusting the modern day chiefs. I'm only trusting the ancient chiefs.
That's our two printers, yeah.
They seem to be honest and truthful and honourable after they all stopped killing each other. They worked very hard to provide for their descendants.
Yep.
And that's all been destroyed. Well, I'm going to try and get it back for the Ngāti Wikitoria tribe. So here, can you see this? Here is Sydney David Tangifai, Taifanga, and he said for the colonisation and settlement of Maori lands. And then if you go and see here, oh, it's not going to be here. Oh, I can always have such trouble finding where he's got it. Was it in here? I'm not going to be able to. Oh, here is it here? Oh, damn! Where's the document? I think it must be in here.
I get where you're going.
Oh, I'll have to come back to it later. There's quite a bit to.
Māori 1866 there. It might be that one there.
No, I need 1888. There's one from him. Won't be that, will it? That's James Carroll. Government to Kuti. I used to be able to just go into it.
Oh, that's okay.
And,
That's okay.
No,
See, and under that Māori affairs, Kiwi,
I got a question.
yeah,
yeah,
Why do you think this government is trying to push to change the name?
because you,
because
because-
Aotearoa doesn't exist. It opens up the door to United Nations.
your
Ah.
land, you,
Yep. All our
okay,
land, for all our resources.
it's in my court case that I just took to court, and I deliberately put it in there for a reason. Me and Sharon have been in the courts, haven't we, Sharon? And I deliberately put it in there in my statement of claim, or is it in my memorandum?
No, memorandum.
Now, this one here is the one that I've put here. But I put this in my court case because I want to start re-recognizing New Zealand, because I know what they're up to.
Yeah.
So if you look on this court document,
Okay.
here it says New Zealand, this is in legislation, New Zealand, but I don't want to find it for you now, it'll take me a long time.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
it says New Zealand shall, for the purposes of the said act and for all other purposes whatever, be deemed to comprise of all territories, islands and countries lying between the 162nd degree of the east longitude and the 173rd degree of west longitude, and between the 33rd and 53rd parallels of the south latitude. Now, this is very serious for you, this name change, because what it means is that when back in the olden days, before New Zealand was mapped, countries that are not mapped in this kind of a strange world that we live in, and in the, I don't know if it's fiction or non-fiction, but a country that's never been mapped is considered to not exist. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
And the people that are living on it don't exist.
Yep.
Right? And then in your land ownership doesn't exist. You're
Yep.
like a tree. You're just no different from a tree that's planted on that land.
Mhm.
It's when they come in and they map the land, it then exists as an entity. And then when they come into there and they divide it up according to tribe and all of that, and give you each a separate state, that land then exists in equity, in money. You can trade with it, you can buy with it, you can do things. Now, you might want to say this, they want to take you back to the time where it was pre-mapped, where it was never mapped.
Yeah.
But when you take yourself back to a time where your land was never mapped, then it doesn't exist and you don't exist, and no ownership papers exist on it.
Yep.
Do you kind of understand that?
Whoa,
Yeah.
so are you saying
That's why they
that-
want the name Aotearoa.
so are you saying that they are remapping us?
Yes.
Yep.
And you can see it, because if you now go and look, I can show you. It's gotten worse
Meridian
now.
lines moved.
They remapped you because I don't know if I can find it now, but I'll
Are
try.
you talking about the meridian?
Yeah, the meridian.
So
So
while you're looking for it, hun, so what you're saying is to rename New Zealand, they're gonna unrecognize us and remap us.
Yep.
yes,
Pretty
Is that it?
much.
and
Yep.
Oh, okay. So if
and
they're
yeah,
gonna do that, then there will be a new colonization.
Yep. Under UN.
you've
Under-
already
they
been colonized. You've already been colonized, but the laws are not set yet. They've already colonized everything that they did in 1835.
Yep,
They're
yep.
doing
yep.
it again.
Okay.
It's
So-
again.
So if, you know, the Māori Party are pushing to rename our nation, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And now they're pushing to, okay, recolonize, I'll just say recolonize
They are.
it.
It is.
Let's discover this new land and
Yeah.
have some new, how should I put it? New rules,
Colonization.
New
New-
borders.
statutes, new whatever, new laws,
Do
whatever.
everything, which I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm saying if you do it without protections around
Yes,
you, then
That's right.
people are just going to come in and take it, and you
That's right.
can't stop them. You're on a roller coaster here.
So then,
Yeah.
so now we're open up that if they do this, we're opened ourselves up for
Wide open.
attack from everyone.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
because America is deeply in debt. Australia is deeply in debt. England is deeply in debt.
And
Every
now
man
we
and
are,
dog wants your country because
And now
your
we are-
country.
like you said, now we're a equity.
Yep.
For them.
An equity and a commodity. Yep.
Yes,
Am I getting this? I'm getting
Yes.
this.
yes,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, you
on
are,
the
you
right
are.
track.
Yeah.
High five, girlfriend. High five.
Got it. Yeah.
So
Likewise.
I'm getting you, sisters. I'm getting you.
Yeah, high five.
Understanding. I'm understanding. I'm slowly understanding where you're coming from. So that's why I love asking questions to you, because you fellas have got a beautiful way of explaining the basics, but you have a great understanding of the fundamentals.
And where this is going, yes.
And
where
where is
it's
this
going.
going? Now we know, we all know there's a agenda. We all know there's why are they doing this? For what? But at the end of the day, now we have to ask, why is the Māori Party opening our people up for this?
Because they've been bought. All they can see are these glittery, shiny things, and all we want, we want. Kiwis, Māoris have always been notorious for shiny things. And we want,
Yes,
we
you
want.
love shiny things. Yes,
Yes.
you've always loved shiny things. That's why they had to stop you. Thomas Wakanani had to stop you. You've always loved shiny things. And
It's like the
so they had
grass
to
is,
stop you.
yeah, it's like the grass is greener on the other side. And in all honesty, it's not. Because where they give
No.
to you in one hand, they take it away and they take something away from you in another.
Well,
You're not
gentlemen,
going to have what you had. You are
No,
not.
it's dead
It's
right.
all going to be taken. You're going to have nothing. This is just terrible. You've got to get your people together and come and join the Ngāti Wikatoria tribe with Kate Floss. We'll have more of these sessions, and I've got more proofs for you, but I can't show it all in one day. There's many,
Yeah.
many proofs.
maybe
To,
that's another video, my sissy.
Oh,
yes, there's
I'm telling you, we're headed down the gurgler, and it's not funny because, like I said to Kate, I want to protect my family and all those that come after me, and if it means taking like my whole family, and which I am, I want them protected before I leave this earth.
Aye, sissy. Aye, I love that. I love that, sis.
here, I'm going to show it to you.
Okay.
What's your name?
Kiwi,
Is it just Kiwi, or is there another name?
what
Oh,
do you want to name it?
Mary, is name Mary or Poppy or what? Oh,
Please like that.
Marima?
No,
what's
it's
the name?
Kiwi.
No,
Let's just keep it as Kiwi, my love.
I'll
Oh,
see.
you haven't been to Kiwi?
I'll message you and tell you my real name, my darling, and you
I
go.
don't need your name, but I mean, like maybe a nickname, or I don't know.
I actually like
I like
Kiwi.
Kiwi too. My
Oh,
auntie used to call me Kiwi.
Okay,
Well,
here, look here. All right, so here you can see, I will show you. Okay, I'll show you this one first. So what you can see here, you know, I always back everything up that I say by evidence.
Yeah.
So I'm never
yeah.
ever going to tell you something. If I don't have evidence, I ain't going to tell it to you. But you can see here by
Yeah.
these maps that you see this Norfolk
Triangle.
Island here. Tasman, Norfolk
Yeah.
Island was not inhabited, you see, and Tasman, he discovered only this right-hand half of Australia, and he
Oh, okay.
discovered Tasmania, and Norfolk Island was empty, and that is a British territory in its own right. And then he cited New Zealand, and everyone that came within, this is called the meridian, and
Yeah.
everyone in this meridian, meridian is all owned by you under the protectorate of Britain. And you
Yeah.
can see it here. See, you've got Norfolk Island. This is how we were bound together. They bound us for
Australia.
safety. They bound us to save you. And they brought the Anglo people in as human shields to protect your countries, and they set up the armies and everything to protect around your individual states. That's what they did. So because you were not able to form armies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we were brought in, we put you in your individual states, and then they dotted settlements of us, white slave human shields all around you, and set up armies to protect all of you. Otherwise, you all were going to be wiped out and dead. And so, this is the name of New Zealand. It's called PC024R. The entire world is mapped according to these grids with these numbers. You can Google this number, and it will come up like this. And you
Wow.
see that we are bound together because New Zealand is actually broken off from Australia. And so we come under this number here. And you'll see, this is how we always have been. This is our, this is us. And
Okay.
then,
So that's how we are state. Can you go back? Yeah. So that's how we end up being a state of Australia.
Yes, you're a state of Australia. You're a state of Australia because New Zealand is broken off from Australia. It is actually a part of Australia, and it was broken off from Australia. And so you became a state, but each one of your tribes is a state in its own right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like the Vatican, think Vatican, right?
Yeah. I get it.
So then they put all of us in to take care of this big state. So we're like the big brothers.
Yeah.
We're our armies, and we take so that you can keep your little state safe. So that's why they did that. All right. I think that's.
And then
all
you've got the little Chatham Islands over there.
Yes, it's all in there. That's all us. So then when you go over to the other one, I think I have to reshare. Or can you see that black one? No, you can't. All right, I'll go to a reshare. So when you go over to here, you'll see Aotearoa. I'm going to show you Aotearoa. If you let them change the name of your country, they're going to remap it. And you're going to get this.
Oh, pardon me.
And that is that's Aotearoa there.
Oh, so
And-
we're just gonna go towards Easter Island,
Well, the Hawaiian Islands,
Islands.
and yeah, all of those, but they're claiming you through Kahuria Rao. They're claiming you they're saying that they discovered New Zealand, and they say that they were here 2,000 years before, and they're saying that they own New Zealand because of that, and they're changing your history, as you know, and they're rewriting your history to say that you came from Hawaii, they're saying. And so they're then saying that you're owned by them. And so that's the career out. But
And the
yeah,
Hawaiian Islands is owned by America.
well, it's owned by the Mormon Church. So the Mormon Church have got a lot to do with all of this. So
Oh,
go
that's where
to-
you're doing those videos on the Mormon churches.
yeah, because they
Oh,
see, the maps always used to look like this.
yes, I remember those.
Yeah, yeah. So we always, now if you see here, the islands come under PC018R. You
Okay.
see how they map the world? AE006R, PC018R, they all come under there, and you come under here together. That's why we're together, because we both come under PC024. If they remap you, you're going to then come under PC018, and everything, every single contract that you have, every single thing that you own is then going to belong to PC018R. And
Wow.
not going to belong to PC024R anymore. So everything that you've had is going to be lost. It's going to be lost. So that thing that I showed you there, when I showed you that thing, the latitudes to the west and the latitude, it all comes under this meridian.
Okay.
See, it's that one that I was reading from the court. That
Oh, yeah.
all, yeah, that all comes under this meridian. And so, and that's how they make the coordinates here.
Oh.
Now, there's quite a bit of the problem here, because I don't know if I can see it on this map, but under, I think it was on the other map, I think. See if I can see it. So this is they're after your country. Do you see? They're after your country, and when they get it, all these presents are going to stop. Don't you understand that? All these lovely presents that you're getting, you're not going to be getting them at some point in time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Once,
the lolly scramble.
Yeah. The shiny things. We won't
The lolly scramble.
got our country, they'll stop. And then they're going to take all the lands, everything that belonged to Māori.
Exactly. Because there's
and
after the lolly scramble, there is
yeah, after the lolly scramble, there's
us.
tummy aches and diabetes, and but here you see, you used to be called New, NIEUW, Zealand, and it's all done to do with the stars and everything like that. And you were always connected to Australia, always. You've never not been a part of Australia. And that's what they want to disconnect. You see? Yeah, so this is Norfolk Island up here in the middle. Here's
Yeah.
If you
Tasmania.
take a look at New South Wales and the shape of New Zealand, it's broken off from New South Wales.
Yes, it is. And how did what all has happened is that you were named a continent. You're a continent in your own right.
Yep.
So the two islands that you're sitting on, we better go because it's a long video, but I'll just say this last bit. The two islands that you're sitting on are actually peaks of mountains.
Mm.
And in actual fact, the underneath land area, you have been named a continent. And so they want to remap your country as a continent and change your meridian. But there's nothing wrong with them doing that. Now that they've mapped it all, that all belongs to you. The oil belongs to you. The riches belong to you. But while they're doing it, they've actually latched you on to those other meridians, and it's those people that are coming to claim New Zealand as your whakapapa and your tupunas and all of that. That's why they've stolen the Ngāti Wikitoria 8th Waka that I'm going to be reclaiming back. So this is all what's going to, I'm stop the recording on here and then we'll just chat.